Welcome back. Now that we've decided what platform we're going to post on, now we need to decide what formats and tactics to use in order to get that reach. There are different types of post formats out there. For example, the first one is called a feed. What is a feed? The feeds is kind of like your permanent page. Think of it as your social media CV. You go, John, I don't know who you are. You go to YouTube or Instagram, you type in John Lee, and then the first thing that you see is my feed. So these are the things that people permanently see. Now, here's the good news. A lot of these platforms allow you to pin a post. So let's say people don't know who you are. You might want to pin your first post of who you are and what you do. That's why a lot of these platforms also have an introductory video. So the feed is the permanent thing that you see. And also when you go to somebody else's site, it's something that you see from them as well. The next one is what we call Reels. So Reels, and what I love about Reels is it's based on delayed explosion, which means you can have no followers, but when you put a video up there, thousands of people can still see it because it's not based on how many followers you've got. It's based on how much topic there is and how much interest there is and how many people watch it. So the good thing about Reels is the more people watch your Reel, the more likely people are to see it because you get more and more and more reach. So Reels is really important, especially for those of you if you're just starting off, and it's also known as short form content. Stories is one of the best ways to also convert your audience as well, because when you make a post on stories, for example, I'm in the studio right now. So I'll do behind the scenes. Hey, here's a story. We're just shooting right now. Here's shot number one, shot number two. I'm in the studio. But the thing about stories is that they expire in 24 hours. So it's just kind of a FOMO to it. If I make a post and for whatever reason it doesn't, people don't see it, the thing about stories is it's gone forever. That's it. So that's why it's really highly engaged. So if you actually want to make higher conversions as a seven-figure creator, stories is where most of the content lies in terms of conversion. Because in social media, the basics is this: market in public, sell in private. Let me say that again. Market in public on your feeds, on your reels, right? But you sell in your stories. And that's why articles and blogs are so important. Some of you don't want to put your face on camera. Some of you, you say, well, John, I'm not an influencer, but you've got valuable content. So what you can do, you can write an article, right? Now, what's happening with social media now? Social media platforms, posts are now turning into blogs. What do I mean by this? In the old days, you had long blogs that people could read, right? But now there's a lot of friction. So I have to go to www.johnleeblog to be able to then read it. But don't forget, people are logging into social media platforms all the time. How many times do you wake up, you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off and you go and do your thing in the morning, and then the first thing you open is your social media platform. This is why blogs are now moving internally into social media. So you take a long blog post, you take that and you just post it as a text post on your Facebook or Instagram and LinkedIn. In fact, LinkedIn has its own articles network as well, which means they can get ranked on social media and search engine optimization. Now, let's say, well, John, I don't want to write, I don't want to do video, I don't want to make posts. Another great format that I really prefer is audio clips. So audio clips, you can just record what you're saying and you can put them into little, what we call audiograms. Like a sound wave when you speak, you got this little sound wave going. Well, you can actually create that as a post and you can post that into social media. And then why that's important? Because audio clips don't require that much effort to create. It's not like a video where you got to put your makeup on and do your hair and get all the lighting on the camera. You can roll out of bed, record a voice note and bang, you can just upload it. And people can start consuming your content all the time. That's what social media is about. You want to become a seven-figure creator, people need to be aware of you, but they need to have the attention and consume you, and that's how you make money. When we're talking about various social media tactics, how and when to use them, there are different pros and cons. And you got to have a balance into keeping things interesting. For example, when I'm sharing things on social media, maybe you want to do an inspirational share. So, for example, if I tell someone a story, hey, I did this happened, and this is the result. So when you're telling stories as a format, that's something that gets people engaged. Why? Because people need a start a middle, a turnaround, and an end. So there's one big social media influencer, and he says, I'm traveling to Japan. That's all he says. And then the next shot, he's on a plane. And the next shot, he lands. And the next shot is on the top of Mount Fuji, right? So it shows the story. So you can share inspirational content. Another way to share inspirational content is voiceovers. So a lot of the platforms now have audio with speeches, and you can overlay a video on it. So I have friends who sit on the laptop, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then there's an inspirational speech saying you got to hustle hard, do whatever it takes. And they put some inspirational music on that. But you can't just do inspirational stuff, because you got to be able to sell something. So that's why another tactic is also to give a value add share. What does that mean? So a value add share is when I see a piece of content and I go, you know what, I could add something to that. A lot of the platforms allow you to clip other people's content. So I can take somebody else's content and I can clip it and I can leave my opinion in the top of it. So let's say I hear someone talking about, you should pay off your mortgage. By the way, I think that's the worst thing you can do, because your money's not working for you if you do that. So what I love to do is I might take that piece of content and then I might put my 2 cents on the top of it. So I take a post and I value add on the top of it, and therefore I get more shares. And here's the thing, when you're polarizing, when you have a different opinion, when you disagree with something, people tend to share it. So that's another format and tactic you can use. Another one, which is my personal favorite, and I love to do this, are lead magnets. What are lead magnets? So right now, let's say you have 1 million followers on social media, and for whatever reason, and I've had friends this happen to, they just lose their social media overnight. Well, you have no distribution now. So what you want to do, you need to extract the data. So now you own the data. That means you can send emails, you can call, you can follow up. And that's the most important part. So how do you do that? You want to create a lead magnet and something to give away for free. So a tactic I use is I say, hey, comment on my post with the word gift or event, and I'll give you something for free. Or take a picture of me, tag me in the post, and I'll give you something for free. So you can also gamify this. So lead magnets are great. One, it creates virality. Two, you build a database, because the money is in the list, right? Becoming a 7-figure creator means that really, if you think about it, you get lots of exposure, you build a list, and you make offers. That's it. That's how you become a 7-figure creator. Again, we're going to go into that, some of the more tactics and how we do that as we go through this quest. And building, the next thing is, for me, community engagement. So another format that I highly recommend that you do is do something called parasocial interaction. For example, let's say you go shopping. I have a friend who does a lot of these fashion blogs, and she will go into a changing room and she'll dress up in all these different outfits, and she'll say, which one do you like, A or B? Do you like this one, yes or no? Right? And also even having your community dictate your next move. Hey, I'm going to a restaurant. Here is the menu. What should I order? Right? You let them dictate what you do. That creates a lot of engagement. People feel that they are connected with you now. When you do things like this, you start building massive community engagement. Even asking people to comment on a post. So, for example, I run a lot of events around the world. So if you go to any one of my social media posts and comment the word event, it will tell you the next up-and-coming event, where I'm in the world. So this is why it's so powerful to start learning how to create this community. Now, one of the best examples of these tactics is what we call retention editing. So what is retention editing? So if you look at a Mr. Beast video, right? The edits are cut so fast that your eye doesn't have chance to think about stuff. It's just kind of like, it's like cut, 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 cut. Like every 3 seconds is a different cut. Think of a music video. Next time you watch a video, count how many cuts there are in that video in the first minute. And then you'll see that, oh my God, there's like 100 cuts in the first minute. Why? Because that's called what we call retention editing. You edit your video specifically for people to watch it longer. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, why would you want someone to watch your video longer? Because the longer people watch your video, the more times they watch the video, the more that video will be served. That's why it's so important. So that's another tactic that you can use when it comes to formats and posting. One thing I love to do as well is expert positioning. So what do I mean by this? When I do a podcast, when I'm on stage, when I'm being interviewed on TV, I will take snippets of that and I will post it on social media. Do you know the amount of times I've taken one of my speeches, I've cut that up and I've posted it, and someone has seen it and go, John, you're exactly the person I need to speak to right now. We're running an event that talks about the exact same topic. Could you do a similar speech? Right? Or I'll do a podcast and someone will listen to it and say, John, I just heard your podcast. That's great. Would you come and do my podcast? So when you are putting yourself out there, when people see you that you're with people, or sometimes I'll make a post of me on stage with thousands of people, it creates expert positioning and branding. So this is why again, whatever you're doing right now, you need to capture everything. The next thing you want people to do is you want people to share your content. Now, picture this. If all of you take a picture of me right now, so take out your phone, take a picture of me right now, I'll pose, all right? And you share that on social media, right? Now, if 1,000 people do this right now, and each one of you have 1,000 people, that's 1,000,000 people that get to see this post. So that means not only am I getting exposure, but your audience gets exposure to what we're doing right now. So you want to do this with your business because, again, awareness times attention equals income. So we've got to start getting people to share the content. And the simple way to do that is share this because. And here's a little strategy I want for you. Here's a little tactic I've got for you. If you create a post where people share it and they feel good for sharing it, it's more likely to get shared. If you tell people to share it and you use the word because is a hypnotic language pattern. So when you say share this because and you give a reason, it's more likely to be shared. I've tested it. It works. It's actually proven, tried and tested. They say that a life that is worth living is worth recording. And that's why it's so important for you to keep doing this. Start documenting this process. Don't always create, but you also want to document as well. Another tactic I love to use, and this is something I use all the time, is have a regular CTA. What does CTA stand for? CTA stands for call to action. For example, you might want to say something like, register. Hey, if you love what I had to say, register here. If you love to do this, buy here. If you're interested in more of this, send me a DM. There are so many different ways to do these call to actions to get people to buy some. Again, that's what as a 7-figure creator, we want to put enough content out there, enough posts out there to get people interested. So now they come to us and they ask, hey, do you have anything to offer? Like the amount of times I put content on there and people say, John, can you coach and mentor me? Sure. And then just comment the word mentoring, right? And then we send people information about that. You see, there are so many different ways to engage your audience. For example, some of you will say, John, I want followers, right? So if you get followers, just tell people to follow you as a call to action, right? You might want to get likes or saves or shares. Why are these important? And what's the difference between them all, right? When someone follows you, you have created a distribution channel, which means that every time you now make a post, the people that follow you are more likely to see your post. That's why you want to get followers. But to get followers, you create content. When you create content, you create a profile visit. When you create a profile visit, you now create a follower. Why do you want to create likes? People say, John, likes don't pay the bills. You're right. But if you do this next thing, they will pay the bills. So likes allow you to engage the people who have liked your post. What if I said to you, you could target everybody who had liked a specific post? Would that be highly qualified audience? Yes or no? Yeah. So you might say, hey, I've got a book coming out. If you would like to get a copy, like this post, right? You can also do saves. Now, people don't know this. Amount of times that you have saved a post and you've never gone back to it. The whole purpose of a save is to tell the social media platforms that you like this post. Now, why is that important? Because later when we talk about the 7-figure creator, there are ways to retarget people who've actually saved the post. So another thing that I love to do as well in terms of engagement type, and for me, I think it's really important, is the shares. So if I share a video onto my content, what happens is that person is now able to see my post and their followers can see my post as well. That's why whenever I'm standing on stage, I will say, hey, take a picture of me, share it on social media. In fact, take a picture of this that you're watching right now, share it on social media, tag me in the post. And what will happen is if 1 million people are going through this right now, that means 1 million people times 1,000 people, then you've got a lot of people who are now watching this content and seeing this content. I want you to brainstorm different types of social media posts you can make, identify the platforms, and include what tactics that I've just mentioned to you that you will actually use. Now that you know the format and the tactics, I want you to design just 3 posts, really 3 simple posts, and also decide what tactics that you would like to use, because in the next session, to become a 7-figure creator, you have to know the content DNA.